So let's come to the Congress.
Yeah.
What has happened?
It's collapsing.
आपके कारण पार्लियामेंट क्यों नहीं चलने दे रहे हैं? मैं जो भी बोलता हूँ ये करता है.
Is Adani a political issue?
There are drones and rockets being fired in a sovereign territory of India.
Why doesn't the bucks ever stop with the Gandhi family?
They have to now, the Gandhis will now have to crack the whip. You've lost Jyotiraditya Scindia. You've lost Himanta Biswa Sharma. Sachin Pilot.
Maharashtra. You wanted the Congress to go alone?
The Shiv Sena UBT was a liability, particularly with Sanjay Raut ji opening his mouth. The party hasn't realized that it's in a worse situation than what it was in 2014.
That's a big statement.
Yeah.
Tehseen, the last time you were here in our studio on the podcast, we were talking about the Congress's fortunes before or during the Lok Sabha campaign. Right after the Lok Sabha campaign, there was a sense that at 99, the Congress was in rebuilding phase. I won't use the word resurgent, but rebuilding. But every single assembly election since then has gone awry for the Congress, has gone badly for the Congress. What has happened in less than 6 months?
So Barkha, thank you for having me here. The last time I was on your podcast was an emotional moment. This is emotional for completely different reasons.
That was emotional because we were talking about your relationship with your brother.
Yes.
Who's on the other side of the political trenches, Shehzad.
Yes.
Before we get deep into politics, are things better with him now?
Well, we chat on WhatsApp a bit more.
Okay.
Because he keeps checking on my son's advance. So yeah, that we chat. And of course, in the studio, there's the occasional smile. But yeah.
When was the last time you had a full conversation with him?
No, we haven't. He checks on my mum and Zirwan. My mum was also slightly under the weather, so he was checking on her. So that conversation, yes.
So do you feel like things are healing? Relationships shouldn't break over politics. You've always believed this. Yes. You have many friends on the right wing.
Completely.
Why is your brother not your friend?
He is my friend. I know he'll always be there for me, but it's just that it's better that we don't completely get too involved or entangled at this moment. It's best that there's a little bit of distance at this moment. But I know that he's there for me, and I will always be there for him.
Does that still break your heart?
Of course it breaks my heart.
But you won't do anything to fix it?
I mean, I at this moment, let time heal. Let time heal. But I think he's doing so well on the political front. He's all over. He's doing so well. Every morning he sets the agenda, which is phenomenal. Because now he sets the agenda every morning, gives us bite. And because the political party, the Congress, does not set the agenda, most of the time I'm giving the bite to counter it. And I'm like, look, this is the agenda being set. So I'm so happy that he sets the agenda.
So let's come to the Congress.
Yeah.
What has happened from June to December?
That's the second emotional moment, that you're seeing the party collapse. And Barkha,
you're using the word collapse.
I'm using the word collapse very responsibly. And I just think that the party hasn't realized that it's in a worse situation than what it was in 2014. It hasn't realized it.
Okay, that's a big statement.
It is a big statement.
You are saying the Congress today is in a worse situation than after the big defeat of 2014,
yes,
when the Prime Minister first becomes the Prime Minister. And you are using the word collapse or collapsing.
It's collapsing.
Explain that.
At a very fast rate. And it's not hit it. It's not hit it because people haven't left the organization at this moment. But it's a matter of time. Once that collapse becomes imminent, and just one brick has to grow, the entire house will come collapsing.
So how is it that in June we are talking about a Congress that is on the mend? On the mend. I'm only using that word very cautiously. And in December, we're talking about what you're calling a swift, imminent collapse of the Congress.
Yeah.
Unless it does something dramatic.
It has to do something dramatic to save itself.
Why do you first think it's collapsing? Let's start there.
Because two states that they should not have lost, Haryana and Maharashtra, they were there for the taking. Completely squandered the opportunity, completely squandered the elections in both Haryana and Maharashtra. It should not have happened. Haryana was sitting, it was on a platter for the Congress to take. There was not one person who was happy with the Khattar administration or the BJP. Not one person. The Prime Minister's popularity did not extend in Haryana to the extent it was because the Congress split the Lok Sabha seat.
And he barely campaigned there. Mr. Modi did only 4 rallies in Haryana.
And I'll tell you, that one of the top BJP leaders said when the results came, they themselves were surprised because they thought, they were hoping to win. They thought it would be a close fight. Nobody thought they would win with those numbers.
So let's start there. Why did the Congress...
And I was in Haryana, I was a lot in Haryana.
Why did the Congress lose Haryana, and why did the Congress get decimated in Maharashtra? In Maharashtra, which is your home state.
Yeah.
This was the third consecutive defeat in an assembly for the Congress party.
Yeah.
Haryana was forecast to be won by the Congress. Maharashtra, in the Lok Sabha, the BJP was dented badly. Why did the Congress lose Haryana? Why did the Congress lose Maharashtra?
So let's take each state at a time. Haryana, I was there continuously. Overconfidence of the Congress, number one. Number two, sidelining Shailaja-ji. Completely sidelining her did not work. The Congress's core voters are Muslims and Dalits. Throughout the history of Congress, Muslims, Dalits, and of course Brahmins or others have contributed to the Congress, but the core Congress voters to be Brahmin, Muslim, Dalit. Muslims and Dalits came in large numbers with the Congress in the Lok Sabha elections. That is kudos to Rahul Gandhi and the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
Yeah.
The sidelining of the Dalits in Haryana, point number one. Point number two.
The sidelining of the Dalits by not giving Shailaja importance.
And the feeling that the constitution is not going to change in an assembly election. You see, a reason why the Dalit fellow citizens gravitated towards the Congress in the Lok Sabha was because the constitution was under threat. And I remember telling you this off the record, a lot of IAS officers from Haryana, from Delhi, etc. were worried about it, serving officers, IAS, IPS, IRS, what happens to the constitution, what happens to them. So there was a general feeling that the constitution is under some side of pressure if there is such a big majority. That worked. This was not working.
Let me give you a counter argument. It may not be what I believe, but this is the counter argument that all polls showed that Bhupinder Hooda was the single most popular contender. Shailaja wasn't getting that kind of traction. It was basis some kind of internal assessment of the ground situation that the Hooda family was given the kind of primacy it was. Kumari Shailaja did not attend the campaign for 13 days. What was the mistake in giving the Hoodas the kind of importance they got, in not being able to carry Shailaja along, or something else?
Not being able to carry Shailaja along, number one. Contrary to that, the BJP had more rebels. The way the BJP leadership, including, I'm not even talking about Prime Minister Modi or Amit Shah ji, so I'm not talking about Rahul ji, Priyanka ji, but those who were deputed to work in Haryana, the way they sat with the rebels, the BJP made more rebels sit down than the Congress. And if you see the difference in Haryana, the Congress rebels, if those Congress rebels, even half of them would have sat down, Congress would have formed the government, just half of them. The leadership of the Congress sent from Delhi, the people who gave the tickets were giving tickets for reasons that are not speakable on a podcast, were giving reasons out of some personal interest, were absolutely clueless. I mean, those who are in charge, and they're the same people in charge of now doing the manthan on what's gone wrong in the Congress. These are people who can't win their Rajya Sabha seat. They are the people who are distributing tickets. So it was a disaster. And obviously the organizational general secretary, ultimately the buck has to stop at him.
Why doesn't the buck ever stop with the Gandhi family?
It does in this case.
Right? But if my team makes a mistake, I may internally pull them up. But for the outside world, that mistake is mine.
True. But in your team, if you're doing this podcast, and if they don't, I hope that
if the camera or the audio goes wrong,
bad,
it might be the fault of a particular individual or individuals. But for the audience, the fault is mine. Why did I assemble a team that doesn't do this properly? Why do I not lead better? Eventually, the buck has to stop with the captain of the ship.
And that's where Rahul ji will have to take a call. Because it's the same incompetent people time and again. They give tickets for reasons that are not to be given. Some of them are even out of friendship. Some of them are out of other connections. But more importantly, they don't self-introspect because their powers come from the Gandhi.
Right.
So they don't self-introspect.
So to that extent, the Gandhis have placed them there in these positions of power.
And they have to now, the Gandhis will now have to crack the whip. Otherwise, like I said, the Congress is fast heading towards irrelevance.
Okay, those are big statements and I want to examine them. But first we'll go from Haryana to Maharashtra. You say in Haryana there was overconfidence and there was the alienation of the Dalits.
There was one more factor.
Which is?
With one community seeming to get prominence.
Jats.
The Jat. The others, there was a counter-polarization. And the BJP
so the OBC vote goes behind Mr.
Not
Saini.
just the OBC vote. You see,
OBCs and Dalits. That's
and the Dalits got split. That is most important. But even in the OBCs, you see, it was something again I told one of the top leaders from Delhi who was deputed in Haryana. The Yadavs were very upset with the BJP because of the encounters that had happened in UP with the Yadavs, right? So there was a lot of anger. Why was Akhilesh Yadav not requested to campaign in the Yadav areas, Mahendragarh, etc., which is around Gurugram? That is Yadav belt. Akhilesh Yadav should be there. Yadavs had even had small meetings saying, look, this time let's not go with the BJP. You cannot be encountering Yadavs in Uttar Pradesh. That was the perception. I'm not getting into it's right, wrong. And now here asked for us to be with the BJP. There was absolute anger. The BJP handled it. Congress did not get Akhilesh.
So let's go from Haryana to Maharashtra.
Sorry, and the top Congress Yadav leader left right after Ajay Yadav.
Yeah. By the way, you haven't mentioned Jammu Kashmir, which I do want to mention because Omar Abdullah on record said to me in the campaign that his hope had been that the Congress would do more in Jammu. And the Congress was literally not even campaigning very aggressively in Jammu, right? In Jharkhand, it gets lifted by the energy of Hemant Soren and the JMM and Kalpana Soren. Full credit to her for coming into her own as a politician. Maharashtra. One would think that the opposition has learned from Haryana that you can't take anything for granted in politics. Yes. What goes wrong in Maharashtra?
So, Jharkhand and Maharashtra elections happen at the same time.
Yeah.
There is polarization by the BJP. But let me tell you, polarization by the BJP cannot help the BJP win an election. The polarization will only work to an extent if there's no counter-polarization. So Jharkhand, the BJP polarized a lot more than they polarized in Maharashtra. A lot more in Jharkhand. The ad was a terrible ad. The ad that went, then the election commission came down on that.
The anti-Muslim advertisement by the BJP, yes.
It was terrible. They were making statements about Beti in Jharkhand, saying Irfan aapki beti ko le jayega, whatever. They were taking names. And this was being done by a sitting chief minister, Himanta Biswa Sharma ji. This was even being alluded by the Honorable Home Minister of India. So the polarization in Jharkhand was a lot more than in Maharashtra. Yet, Kalpana Soren ji and Hemant Soren ji did not lose focus. They did not get into a Hindu-Muslim debate. They kept saying tribal rights. They kept speaking about Jharkhand pride. They kept saying Jharkhand will not be governed from Assam, as a hit out to Himanta, will not be governed from Delhi. And the Congress had a united front, except for one moment when the Jammu Kashmir leader spoke about giving gas cylinders to Ghuspaitias, which I don't know what was he thinking. Having said that, look at Maharashtra. The BJP's polarization was lesser in Maharashtra, except for the...
Why do you say that? The critics of the BJP would say Yogi Adityanath slogan, katenge to batenge. Despite being disavowed by leaders in the Mahayuti like Ajit Pawar.
And Pankaja Munde. And Nitin Gadkari.
Yes, yes. But yet it worked where it had to.
It didn't work. Maharashtra, the Prime Minister's statement worked.
Ek hai to safe hai.
Yogi Adityanath ji's did not work. Number one, I gave the Congress a brilliant counter to katenge to batenge, and I'd used it on your show. Koi nahi batega, BJP ka vote katega. You could have used that as a tagline. I gave it to every single MBA leader. I have the WhatsApp. I WhatsApp them, isko use kijiye.
And they said?
Approval lege. One leader was busy about his metro. They were on various issues. They were all busy about some industrialists. They had zero time.
Some industrialists means Gautam Adani.
And they had, including the Shiv Sena guys, the UBT. So what happened as a result of which was, yes, there was polarization by the BJP. But what happened in the MBAs is counter-polarization by the Muslim side.
Explain.
For example, the ulemas. They wrote that letter to the MBA.
Explain this letter. You're assuming our audience knows everything.
So the ulemas, various ulemas, some of them known, most of them unknown, they wrote some letter to the MBA group, giving 14 or 17 points to be accepted for the Muslim vote to go for the MBA. I told one of the topmost Congress leaders in Maharashtra, write back to them that we don't want your vote. And if you want to vote for us, vote for us because Maharashtra has to progress. They didn't. They said, we'll see what happens as per the constitution. You see, these are great arguments. And as you stopped me, that the audience doesn't understand, the nuance is lost. You should have said, hame vote mat kijiye. Kahan vote karte wo aap? आप ही को वोट करते ना वो कह रहे कटेंगे तो बटेंगे उनको तो वोट करने वाले नहीं है वोट तो आप ही को मिलने वाला
But the data does show that fewer Muslims the turnout in Muslims did decline. There was an absence of enthusiasm. I'm not talking about the ulamas. I'm talking
Yes.
about the general Muslim
It
voter.
did because even the Muslims in Maharashtra, and you've traveled Maharashtra a lot, particularly Mumbai, Pune, aren't swayed away by things like this. They aren't that popular. If they were, Maharashtra wouldn't be as cosmopolitan a state that it is. Let me take another example
So what happened with the ulamas? First finish the ulamas as a factor.
So as a factor, there was counterpolarization. So on one end, you have Ek Hai To Safe Hai, Hindu Hriday Samrat Narendra Modi ji with Yogi Adityanath ji, who's a Hindu leader
Right.
there. At the other end, you have Maulanas and ulemas that are asking that vote for certain conditions, including 10% reservation in the constitution. Guess where majority of the vote is going? Guess where it is going? It's math. It's simple. The majority will go there because you are not raising the issues of the majority. You're pandering to these ulemas who don't even matter to many of the Muslims. And let me give you...
You're saying this as a Muslim.
I'm saying this as a Muslim. Let me give you data. Bal Thackeray's grandson did not get all the Muslim votes. Milind Deora got more than 25% Muslim votes.
Why do you think that is?
Imagine on one end you have somebody whose party is very proud of demolishing the mosque. On the other hand, you have a candidate whose leader, Eknath Shinde, is by and large secular, not made any statements as chief minister, not created any disturbance in the Thane, Mumbai, Kalyani area. Milind, by nature, his father, Murli Deora ji, have been very secular. They have personal connections with the Muslim community. I've seen Milind Muslims come meet him. He's not a communal guy. Guess who you're voting for? Maharashtra isn't other parts of the country. So people are very okay. People live in cosmopolitan areas, at least in Mumbai, Pune, Western Maharashtra. It is very cosmopolitan. They aren't ghettos. Maybe in the lower,
Sure.
Yes, but in society.
So what happened according to you?
So guess in Worli and upper
So
mid,
when these ulemas wrote this letter,
there was counter-polarization and the Muslims also wondering what the hell is going on. Even the Muslims
now
are wondering.
you are holding the ulemas responsible,
I'm
but
not
not
holding-
Yogi Adityanath responsible for. Isn't the
I am.
polarization from both sides?
It is, but the polarization works when there's counter-polarization. In Jharkhand, if you didn't react, they would keep shouting.
So Yogi Adityanath could have been ignored.
Should have been ignored.
And how should the ulemas have been treated?
Ignored or said, you want to vote for us because you want Maharashtra to develop. Otherwise, we
And
don't
what
want
happens
you.
instead?
What happens instead is a letter is written to the ulemas saying we will consider the constitutional position, what fixed within the constitution, we will sit on it. The minute you say you'll sit on it, you think, oh, they are blackmailing. You cannot have nuances in an election campaign because people don't understand. The message that the BJP did is, look, they are pandering to the ulemas. Or Pradhan Mantri keh rahe, ek hai to safe hai. And Bangladesh had happened. Bangladesh was in people's mind.
Yeah.
It was at the back of people's mind. Guess where the votes are going? Then there was a second cause in this polarization. Mohtarma ji and her shoher,
No,
the
you have
actor.
Please
I'll tell you.
name names here, please.
Swara Bhaskar ji.
What happened?
Oh, she and her husband going and meeting Sajjad Nomani, the Maulana.
Now her husband was a candidate from the Samajwadi Party.
And Samajwadi Party in Maharashtra panders to Muslims who sort of tend to be a little extreme on the Muslim right.
Okay.
Right? Whether it's Abu Azmi Saab or whether it is these people, right? So now when you go and meet Sajjad Nomani, a Maulana who said Taliban is good, women's education should be stopped. And then those images go everywhere. And then her speech, which went viral about Prophet, peace be upon him, it scares people. It makes people very agitated. Somebody like me who's a cosmopolitan, born to a Muslim family.
Are you a believing Muslim?
No, I'm an atheist Muslim like Javed Akhtar. Absolute atheist Muslim. But even my family, most of whom are believers, were repulsed by this. Were absolutely repulsed. Because again, the education movement in Maharashtra was not just Savitribai Phule. Along with Savitribai Phule was Fatima.
Yeah. So one thing that you say goes wrong for the Congress and the
is
opposition
the counter-polarization.
And you're calling it counter-polarization,
Yes.
not polarization.
Yes, and the attention seeking of trying to make the election about yourself, your videos. Then there was Abu Azmi Saab. He won his election. He went and met another Maulana from Gujarat who said, Gazwai Hind hona hai. Why are you meeting these people? That Maulana was in jail for a long time. He wanted Gazwai. Why would you want to meet these people? How do these people help in the context of Maharashtra in any case where a Muslim is not voting for Gazwai Hind or for women not to be educated?
Okay, so this is one factor.
Massive factor.
Then?
That really hit.
There is a suggestion that the failure to project Uddhav Thackeray as chief minister.
Oh, good they didn't project. Had they projected it, even fewer seats Congress would have got. But let me come to the second factor, which is, I think, a more pertinent and important factor, the Shiv Sena UBT. I have been telling you, Barkha, both on your shows and off record.
About Sanjay Raut.
Not just about Sanjay Raut. The alliance with Shiv Sena is dangerous and will finish the Congress. I told you on your podcast last time the Congress was born in Pune, shifted to Bombay because of because reasons this was, is born in Maharashtra. Imagine pandering to the Shiv Sena UBT. There is no common ground for an alliance. There is zero common ground. And on top of it, you have incompetent...
You wanted the Congress to go alone?
Absolutely. The Shiv Sena UBT was a liability, particularly with Sanjay Raut ji opening his mouth every single day.
But see, in Maharashtra, every assumption went wrong. Take Ajit Pawar. In June, BJP supporters were calling Ajit Pawar and the alliance with Ajit Pawar a mistake.
I'm still saying it is a mistake.
No, the BJP's alliance.
I'm still saying after his performance.
Look at his numbers. His strike rate is second only to the BJP.
It doesn't matter. He's got the votes not because of him. He's got the votes because he was attached to the BJP.
Okay. So you still believe that he was the BJP's mistake?
And he had Arora, who did a good job with him, and they could highlight the issues and they could project him well. Ask Mr. Pawar to come on his own, he won't get those numbers. So unlike Eknath Shinde.
So Eknath Shinde is more of an autonomous politician than Ajit Pawar?
Yes.
In terms of identity?
In terms of identity and respected. In terms of politically.
Okay, but I'm just saying 6 months is a long time in politics, right? The same UBT that today you're saying is a mistake was, that alliance was considered good news in the Lok Sabha elections.
No, I kept saying even in Lok Sabha, of course, that it's a mistake.
Why?
Because in the Lok Sabha, the Shiv Sena UBT got the Congress core voters, which is Muslims voted for them.
And this time?
They didn't. They were okay with choices that were there in Ajit Pawar's side and with Eknath Shinde's side. Secondly, the issue of the constitution being changed wasn't there, nor was the industrialist.
It was a very local election.
Local. Adani wasn't an issue. The issues were cotton farmers, soybean farmers, jobs going out of Maharashtra because industries were going out of Maharashtra. Those were the issues which were not led. And on top of it, the Shiv Sena UBT spokesperson or face of it, Sanjay Raut, every morning would be a disaster. He continues to be a disaster.
Because?
Because the kind of statements he makes. It was again Haryana replayed. In Haryana, the polarization or the fear was on caste lines.
So the opposition, by the way, doesn't believe this result, right? They go on about EVMs. They go on about the absence of a level playing field. And I always say, I do not like these EVM conspiracy theories at all, by the way. And I always say that in life, there is no level playing field. If you rewind politics to 15 years ago, Congress, or 20 years ago, Congress was the behemoth, BJP was the upstart, right? When you hear the party you support challenge the electoral process, what do you say?
There are institutional questions of the Election Commission that should always be sought. Institutional credibility.
Name one.
Including on EVMs, for example, 100% VVPAT matching.
Yeah, I feel because it would end this debate.
It ends the debate. Number two, the VVPAT should be barcoded, so you know it's from the same EVM machine, so further conspiracies don't come. Number three, the VVPAT should be on a paper where the ink doesn't disappear after 4 months because it takes that much time for
Let me ask you plainly, do you question the outcome of the Maharashtra election?
No.
Okay. So you believe that this is this is how people have voted?
Yes, because if it was true, the Shiv Sena UBT on the first day said they will not take oath. The own MLAs that were elected didn't agree with
obviously
with the grandson of Barkha Dutt. So they said no.
So you think there are some lacunae that you want fixed in the process?
There should be. Institutions must always improve. Processes should always become more democratic and transparent.
Sure.
People must have complete right, but you cannot junk EVMs. The country is not ready to junk EVMs.
But is it a mistake to question the electoral outcome?
You can question the way the Election Commission did conduct itself. It didn't hold itself up in glory, postponing Maharashtra elections, allowing for Ladki Behin to be announced, then not stopping it, allowing the polarizing remarks by Yogi Adityanath until very late. So they had gone viral. Then how do you stop it in a viral world? Those were mistakes. But like you said, too bad it's not a level playing field.
I'm saying politics is merciless, right? Politics has never been
it's a jungle.
It's a jungle. It's Darwin's world.
It is Darwin's world, and you got to get up and make it a quantum world where you say every possibility and outcome is possible, and therefore I will make this reality true. You cannot sit away cribbing. But I want to come back to Sanjay Raut ji. And I want to tell something through by your medium to Bal Thackerayji's grandson and Uddhav Thackerayji. If they do,
Why are you not naming Aditya?
I
Do you know him?
Yeah, I sent him a couple of WhatsApps also, which he agreed to, and in fact asked one of their put it out that one of their persons who's speaking for them is not this person. But the point is that Sanjay Raut is one of the reasons why the MVA government fell. It is one of the reasons why the Shiv Sena...
Why is one person so important?
Because people in the Shiv Sena were fed up of him. You ask Eknath Shinde and his MLAs and his supporters, and they will tell you one of the reasons. I'm not saying it's the only reason. That's not the case. He's one of the reasons, and his irritating statements that has led to the government falling. That has led to the Shiv Sena breaking up. And if he doesn't keep quiet and continues to make statements like comparing Syria revolution in India, it won't be long before Matushri will be in trouble. This man has completely ruined the Shiv Sena, UBT, and I don't know why Uddhav Thackerayji and Bal Thackerayji's grandson don't see it. And there is a Persian couplet, Sultan Shah Alam az Dilli ta palam. वही हालत होगा उनका कि कहने को तो जहाँ पना है इनका जो the rule will not be outside Matushri. The writ will not run outside Matushri. That's what Sanjay Raut is doing. I mean, can you imagine after all of this, the arrogance of the man to say that a Syria-type revolution should happen in India? I mean, I dislike the BJP passionately. I'm passionately against the BJP. Who would want Syria-type revolution in India? And the HTS is some upholder of democratic values, women's rights, liberty. I mean, either you have to be on drugs, either you have to be bizarre, either you have to be not mentally in the right space of mind, or you're simply doing it out of
But
evil.
are elections won and lost on the basis of one man, one statement? It's organizational, right? Let's come back to the organization.
Yes, but the one man or the one Mohtarma keeps making it about themselves, and that keeps taking headlines, and that has to stop.
So the narrative gets dead.
The narrative gets stepped. I mean, look, there is Modi ji saying, ek hai to safe hai. There is Yogi Adityanath ji in his saffron robe saying, katege to batege. Dislike, but not a good statement, but wo hai. On the other hand, you have somebody completely looking in a very respected manner, but looking a particular way, going to a Maulana says women should not even go to school. Guess where majority of the votes are going?
Yeah.
Where liberal Muslim votes are going? Guess where they are going? They're going to Ajit Pawar, they're going to Eknath Shinde.
The Congress leadership has in the last few months had two pet issues. Let's start with the non-industrialist issue, which is the caste census.
Yeah.
Maharashtra shows you that the caste census did not yield anything electorally.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes.
So will or should Rahul Gandhi abandon it as an issue?
No. He should speak about a caste census on a national level, because that's a commitment made by both the UPA then and the NDA to the people of India. Once you've made the commitment in the House, I am old-fashioned, that must be fulfilled. A caste census is also required to understand how does positive reinforcement of state help and welfareism go to those who really need it. It is not about being anti-Brahmin or anti-upper caste. We must be able to, and Rahul Gandhi ji must be able to nuance between the two. The BJP turns it around by making it anti-upper caste. This is hurting the Congress even in Himachal, a very important state that the Congress won, where 90% of the people are Hindus and 60% are upper caste. Why would you want to give that away? And Brahmins, as I told you in the beginning of the episode, were traditional Congress voters. It is about giving anyone who's behind the line help. So that's what the caste census will help. But for example, the Bihar caste survey identified several Brahmins who are in worse off position than Dalits and Muslims. So as a state, it is our responsibility to help them. He should articulate it that way.
Okay. Gautam Adani.
But will the caste census work in state elections? No. National, yes, you can talk about it. Not in states. Not until you release...
because in Haryana... So here's the irony, right? Just to spend one more minute on the caste census. The thrust of Rahul Gandhi's political rhetoric around the caste census hasn't just been, let's do the caste census and find out which group is developed in, into what degree. He has done an OBC thrust. Yes. Right? He has done a thrust for the OBC community. In Haryana, you don't get the OBC vote. In Maharashtra, you don't get the OBC vote. There is a complete disconnect between the rhetoric and the result.
That's true. Also because the caste survey in Karnataka has not been released.
Yes. And that's the other double speak, right?
Yeah, so unless you don't release it and people see the benefits of that caste survey or caste census, which will happen nationally, percolating to those who need it, including the upper caste who are, you will not be able to speak it on because the BJP now counters it saying, why don't you release the Karnataka caste survey?
Yeah.
And then you don't have an answer to that.
Yeah.
So you cannot speak of something and not do it where you have government. Even on this EVM thing, I told the top, because EVM was initially my issue, 2017-18, we were raising it, we wanted certain transparencies, then we went to the election commission.
Yeah, I remember that. Thanks for reminding me that.
Yes, so we went
So you were the original EVM conspiracy theorist.
Not conspiracy. I kept telling them, there are certain methods that we wanted for transparency. They agreed to some they haven't agreed for. I'm still on those points.
Okay.
But my appeal to the Congress and to the opposition was, in states where they're in government, if you are against EVM, bring in laws in the assembly, let the governor not sign it and go to Supreme Court for more transparency. You amend those state government laws that the state election commission will have to, for example, function within these parameters, all 100%. If there's an election in West Bengal, for example, or Congress and government Karnataka, all VVPATs have to 100% be matched. How will a governor not sign it? How bad will that look?
So signal your own intent.
You can't fight one thing and not do it in your state. Let the governor not sign it. He may not sign it or she may not sign it. Go to court.
So on the caste census, your argument is national issue, not a state issue?
National issue, not a state issue. And on states, walk the talk on what you're saying.
The second issue that has occupied Mr. Gandhi and the Congress party or sections of the Congress party almost permanently has been Gautam Adani. And it has occupied all the social media play, all of the video campaigns are about Gautam Adani, all of the entire semiotics of the Congress campaign, Adani masks, Rahul Gandhi playing reporter, interviewing, doing a mock interview with an Adani and Modi. It's all Adani. But in Telangana, you have a Revanth Reddy who not just does business with Adani, but when KTR gets up to try and say, oh, Revanth Reddy is too close to Gautam Adani, Freudian slip there, KTR is stopped. What's going on? Like, how does the average janta understand this?
They don't.
So then?
And they don't. And that's why the communication and the bridge with the state leadership is a must, which obviously doesn't.
Is Adani a political issue?
No. It is an issue institutionally. It is a political issue on two fronts.
Yeah.
Yes, that the common person does not want monopolies to an extent. Number two, they want institutions to be strong. The average Indian, unlike what politician thinks, is very alert and aware and does not want institutions compromised. So to that extent, institutional accountability of anyone and everyone from the EC to the SEBI should be sought and asked for. That's one. Number two, your industrialists will support you on it, not openly, but because everyone wants that there isn't any monopoly in any sector. So to that extent, you will get some good support from people, though the industrialists will not have the guts to support you openly. Is it an electoral issue that will lead to victory in a Maharashtra election or a Jharkhand election or a Delhi election? No, it doesn't. Because that doesn't affect the lives of the people. If at all they want more jobs, unemployment is a serious issue. The low-hanging fruit is unemployment. The government should be caught on unemployment, on the economic downturn.
But nothing has happened in Parliament.
That's the problem. You see, there is the industrialist that you speak about, and then there is George Soros that the BJP has gotten to sort of put this down. Both of them are irrelevant issues, except that it benefits the BJP that Parliament does not run, because the BJP has no answers on unemployment. They have no answers on the economy gone down. When was the last time, Barkha, and you cover politics and political economy? The RBI gave a lowering down focus for India. The RBI did that a few days ago. You should have got the government by the scruff of the neck and said the economy is gone on a downturn. 7% projection, you come down to 5%. And look at what's happening. That Bangladesh in your neighborhood, by the way, of a sidetrack, this is what happens when NGOs run a country. Bangladesh is being run by an NGO. Please, you don't need NGOs in political parties or in running a country.
Who is that a warning to?
Duggal Saab and company. And
who is Duggal Saab?
Oh, you know who Duggal Saab is.
No, I know, but
the
our
mass
audience doesn't.
The mass leader.
Our audience doesn't know who you're referring to.
The mass leader. I will take names.
You have to name names.
I will take names. The mass leader was one day an RTI activist, one day Kisan Neta, one day has his own party, one day climate activist, one day cephalologist.
So your reference is to Yogendra Yadav?
100%. So this is what happens when NGOs take over. Look at Bangladesh.
And your grouse with Yogendra Yadav is?
Nothing that I have no grouse with him. He's not worth having a grouse
Do
with.
you not think that you are picking on, just thinking of this, on individuals to deflect from where responsibility lies? So you say Sanjay Raut, you say Yogendra Yadav, you say Swara Bhaskar. These are not individuals who are driving the policies of their parties. They're not the big leaders of their parties or the parties they support. They're maybe good talking points. Are you being fair?
No, they are the talking points that make it about themselves. But ultimately, the buck does stop at central leadership.
Yeah.
It does stop at the central leadership, and it does stop at those around the central leadership who simply do not have the political acumen on how to get the government on the mat. Like I was telling you, Parliament should be discussing the economy,
Right.
should be discussing price rise, savings are at an all-time low, personal loans are at an all-time high.
But it isn't Yogendra Yadav who has decided that Rahul Gandhi should be obsessed with
That's
Gautam
true.
Adani.
So that I don't.
He's not
that I
decided
don't.
that,
That I
right?
don't. That I don't blame him. That I blame the Congress parliamentary leadership. And not just that, the government hasn't addressed we the people on Syria. Syria is a nation in which India has investments. Syria, like India, is a very ancient culture with historic ties to India. Syria and India has historic ties.
Yeah.
Imagine the government hasn't addressed India via parliament on Syria, and in that region we have so many Indians working. Shouldn't we have the government by then? What is plan B in Syria? Do you know?
What is plan B? No, I have no idea.
And 2023, just for your viewers to know, a top-level Indian delegation, which I support, did visit Syria, and Syrians were in India, and I support that. It was the right thing for Prime Minister Modi to do. And we don't have a plan B. We don't have a plan B in Bangladesh.
Yeah. And these are the issues that should be spoken about, is the point you're making.
Right. And I told you on your show, my mom, who's now fascinated with online ordering, says, Tehseen, pyaz 60 rupiah kilo ho gaya hai. And I'm like, okay. Now, when that hits my mom, because she's looking at that thing, unlike it being paid for by the staff, and it's hitting her, imagine the common middle class family that's being hit by price rise, by inflation.
So my question is, you made a statement, the Congress is collapsing. What shape and form is that collapse taking? Or might it take?
It's slow right now, and it can be stemmed.
Yeah.
If it isn't, in my opinion, once a state government falls, the rest of them will collapse like a house of cards, except for Telangana.
And which one do you fear might fall?
Whichever falls. The BJP is not going to sit waiting for, will not sit waiting and be the beacon of morality. It's a jungle out there. They are going to go for the hunt. So that is going to happen. And once that happens, people will get disappointed. So the Congress has to, one, desperately start winning elections again. Two, get Parliament, make sure that the government is held accountable for Parliament not functioning. I have never seen, and this is how bad the Congress communication is, which is the third thing I want to come to. I have never seen a parliament not functioning and the opposition being held responsible, not the government, when running the house is the goddamn job of the government.
At the moment, the perception, I'm not saying it's correct or wrong, yeah. The perception is that because the opposition is focused on Gautam Adani, nothing else is taking place in the house.
And while that is not completely true, that perception has hit the common person. And again, the Congress communication is so bad, so out of touch, that the common person sees, why are you wasting our time over this issue when the other issues also are important? Sambhal is very important. I'm again saying Bangladesh is extremely important to India. Syria is extremely important. All these issues that should be discussed. Manipur, there are drones and rockets being fired in a sovereign territory of India. India is being attacked by rockets. And it's not being taken up. I mean, the opposition should be sitting on these issues, should be asking Parliament to function.
Yeah. Now, question is this. The Congress, you say, is collapsing, but the Gandhi family seems to be doing all right in that there are 3 members of the family in Parliament. Is that an advantage or is it a disadvantage?
Definitely an advantage. Definitely Priyanka ji being there is an advantage.
Why?
I believe she will open the speech on the constitution after Rajnath Singh ji speaks from the opposition side. Because one, she's an extremely articulate speaker. Both her communication in English and in Hindi, particularly in Hindi, is top class. Her use of expressions and language is phenomenal. She does not make slip-ups that can lead to being attacked or sound anti the nation or the constitution or
so you think she's a better leader than Rahul?
No. Rahulji is a good leader. He's morally extremely, he has his heart in the right place. I'm only talking about oratory. I think while Rahulji has his strengths, Priyankaji's strengths are really, really good, and that should be used by the Congress. Another person whose strengths they should use, by the way, so it doesn't look that I'm only speaking for or advocating for the Gandhis and PG, is Sachin Pilot. Very good speaker, a lot of popularity in women, older citizens, younger citizens. He's now in his 50s. When are you going to use him? You've lost Jyotiraditya Scindia. You've lost Himanta Biswa Sharma. Sachin Pilot. You've lost Milind Deora.
Yeah.
You can't lose now. I mean, you've got to use Sachin Pilot. You won't lose him. You've got to use him.
Priyanka Gandhi, the speculation has always been, will she overshadow Rahul Gandhi?
Well, I don't know if it will. The politics are like the market. And Rakesh Jhunjhunwala told me something very nice. And he said, listen, at the Marine Plaza in Mumbai, and he said, listen, the markets are like your mother. You cannot fool them. They will take their own course and they will know everything. Politics is exactly like that. The people will know everything. Ye janta hai, ye sab janti hai. So you cannot artificially put the rupee down. You cannot artificially put the markets down or put it high. And you cannot artificially put somebody up in politics and put somebody down. Who is meant to shine will shine.
Let's end on a personal question. Why are you not officially a Congress spokesperson?
For two reasons. Number one, I don't agree with the current communication of the Congress.
And you think the Congress has lurched too far left? Too far.
Or to the extent of loonyism. Some of them are absolute loonies, and it doesn't work. People don't want Porsche poverty. Mm-hmm. They don't want Mercedes Marxism.
Yeah.
They don't want the Lexus left. They actually want people to raise their issues, and the issues are bread, butter, and giving people a better life. We need to be, if I was leader of opposition, or if I was in opposition, I would be talking about how in the next 30 years can I make my people's life better. Nobody's doing that, but forget that. You've not even held the Prime Minister accountable. Just a second. We've not even held the Prime Minister accountable for the pollution crisis in North India, of which he can chair a meeting of all states and he's refused to do it. There is a cancer pandemic in North India. There's a heart attack pandemic in our country. There is no meeting chaired by the Prime Minister to deal with this issue, which is actually taking people's lives.
You said one reason is that, and the second reason is?
The second reason, of course, is that for me, I am independent. I like to have a certain thought process that isn't weighed down on irrelevant issues. When I see myself in Parliament, I see myself raising issues that matter to that last man or woman standing.
There are your critics, though you generally have the skill of having friendships across political ideologies, who say that, what you say is actually helping the BJP.
How? If I'm saying price rise, how does the BJP get help? I'm
sure you've also seen these comments. So how do you respond to them?
Yesterday I tweeted, because I was on a show on Ranbir Kapoor, the Kapoor family meeting with the Prime Minister, right? Yes. So I was on that show at night. And
why is this even an issue?
Exactly. I just thought it was cute. And I just thought it was cute that the Prime Minister was asking for Taimur and Jay. And Taimur was on your show. I remember he made a little guest appearance on your show.
Yes.
So the Prime Minister didn't see him, Barkha did. So I just, and being a new father, I just thought it was cute that the Prime Minister asked about it. And it's nice. And look, if the Prime Minister calls you, you go. If the Prime Minister is spending time with you, you do. Whatever your political...
If the Prime Minister calls you, Tehseen...
I would go. I mean, I don't agree with him. Of course I would go.
What is if you have... But you complete your story first.
Yeah. So I just thought it was cute. I mean, and Raj Kapoor's been an icon of India, a brand ambassador of India, and he's popular across the world, right? Like Shah Rukh is. So I thought it was cute. And I promise you, I swear on my son, I did not know that the Congress supporters had trolled it. I didn't know it. I didn't even know this show was happening until Rahul Shivshankar asked me to sit for this segment. And I knew Rishi Kapoor very well, and I know some in the family well, and Monica knows some in the family very well. So I just thought it was cute, and I put my thing out and I tweeted it. Later on, there was this whole army that started telling me, but this is not right, and what the Prime Minister done. Now I think the Prime Minister is being terrible in not going to Manipur. Yeah. I think it's terrible he's not held. But as opposition, let me hold him accountable for that. But let me not troll the Kapoors.
I mean, the answer to that is non-issues.
Yeah, I'm trolling the Kapoors. Saif Ali Khan is a Rahul Gandhi fan.
Yeah.
Why are you trolling? And then, when you troll people and it's about his son and all, It's not, people don't like it. So Saif, as publicly said, and in this day and age, he's publicly said he admires Rahul Gandhi. And Congress people on IT cell are trolling the Kapoors. Like, do you even know that people are on your side?
So do you get trolled by Congress supporters?
I get trolled by everybody, and then I get loved by everybody, and frankly, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Because I don't even give
absolutely.
Because I know where I'm going to be in life.
Absolutely. That is something I do want to ask you about. One thing that you should say to people who lose friendships and family over politics.
Well, I'm not the best friendship family.
But you haven't lost Shahzad over his supporting BJP?
No. There have been other issues as well. And I do love him, and I'll always be there for him, and he will. But don't. It's not worth it. If your politics or your religion makes you fight, maybe you got to relook at it. It shouldn't. It absolutely shouldn't. Look, I'm just going to say we are very, very privileged in this entire observable universe where there are millions and billions of stars. We are the one planet that has intelligent life. Can we at least use that intelligence to not fight with people, not spread hate?
Finally, if you had 5 minutes alone with the Prime Minister and 5 minutes alone with Rahul Gandhi, what is the one thing you'd like to say to both gentlemen?
To the Prime Minister, I would like to say that please stop the tax terrorism. Get your finance ministry in order. There is terrible tax terrorism happening, as a result of which there's a terrible brain drain and wealth drain happening out of India. Everyone who's above 80, 90, 100 crores is getting a house in Dubai or getting a house in Singapore, and they're moving away. There are no policies for AI tech, AI fintech, and that's draining us, and that's going to be the future. So get that act in order, have a ministry for AI and quantum, a separate ministry for AI and quantum, because that's the future. To Rahul ji, I would say, imagine a tennis ball in your hand and you bounce it and you catch it. To you and to those around you, it will appear that you've done a great job and it's come up. But to somebody who's observing that from outside, say the Earth has moved certain amount of kilometers per second away by the time that balls bounce. It's not in the same spot. By the time you do something, it's moved. The issues have moved away. That is not, you're seeing things from a very close perspective. See it from a more macro perspective and raise issues that are more relevant to the people rather than the industrialist. Also, I would tell him that those around him, the organizational general secretary, those otherwise, sometimes because they derive their power from him and from the Gandhi family, they don't give the correct feedback at times, in my opinion. And they are the same people who are responsible for the Congress defeats, who are in charge of doing the manthan for the Congress defeats. And that will never work. Set accountability. If your cameraman or your recording girl forgets to record, maybe, yes, it'll be a setback, but you will set accountability. Therefore, the buck stops at you. So if he wants the buck to stop at him, he has to set accountability. And the accountability has to be visible. It cannot be not seen. Also, I would tell him to raise issues that matter to the people in Parliament.
Yeah.
That's important.
I don't know if anyone's listening, but if they are, Tehseen, you are warning that the Congress, 6 months after a Lok Sabha election that spoke of them rebuilding, could be heading towards political internal collapse.
Yes, caveats. There are caveats. If they start winning elections, then no, things will stop for a bit.
Thank you, Tehseen. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Barkha.